What's up, everybody? We're back, and we're missing... Oh, wait, here he is. Oh, what is that?
Thought I'd bring a gift in.
Oh, yes.
It's a special moment.
Oh, I thought I was doing the podcast on my own there for a second.
No, you've got your own channel, Andy. Stick to your wheelhouse. I just wanted to bring this in.
Amazing.
To celebrate something, really.
The good old boy.
Look at the size of it. Pick up a minute.
I know. Wait.
For those of you listening, I've brought in the original Xbox.
Oh my days. What's that, like 20 kilos?
You could
Jesus, I
that
could
thing.
curl this. Crazy.
Yes, that's right. The OG Xbox. It is a brick.
I don't remember it weighing that much.
I know.
Like, freaking hell. Like, that
It's almost as big as a PS5.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Almost.
Let me start it properly.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the 128KB podcast. We are back once again.
Yes.
That's right. Due to lack of popular demand.
We are indeed.
We're here just for you because you don't want us to be here. It's your weekly dose of all things gaming from him and me.
Woo.
That's right. And I don't know if this is like a nostalgia trip or a celebration or the fact that they recently bought us out.
Yes, it's that. Hence the T-shirt, the bottle, and the Xbox.
This massive box. But I wanted to take the chance to walk down memory lane and celebrate, which is apparently 22 years
I cannot believe that.
of Xbox existence.
That's insane.
That's pretty crazy. It's made me feel old.
Yeah, me too. Man.
The OG Xbox is 22. This thing is older than most people that watch our videos.
Oh, man, that's insane.
Yeah. It's, well, do you remember the Xbox being launched 22 years ago?
I remember it. I remember it fondly, actually.
The fanfare, the hoorah.
Yes.
I would put this down like this, but there's actually something I probably shouldn't show on camera on the front of it.
What's that?
Have a look.
Oh, and what was that, AJ?
This is a small modification that was done to this one. I for legal reasons, I'm going to say I bought this second hand and it had already...
Just had this thing hanging out the front.
I don't know what this is on the front.
I don't know.
Some kind of mod that was done to it.
Yes.
I don't know what the mod does.
No idea.
But it has switches and it looks like it's wired right into the main motherboard. So maybe it helped it bypass some kind of...
Interesting, yeah.
Some kind of loading issues that may have occurred.
Yeah. It changes the region to watch weird DVDs that you buy from Japan, doesn't it?
I like weird films from Japan.
Yes.
I can tell you which ones they. That kind of sums up the era that this was launched into.
I remember everyone trying to do that.
Weird, like
Yes.
hacks to bypass security so you can play copied games and.
Really? Is that what that's for?
I don't know if that's what this specifically is. But there was that on the Xbox, on the PlayStation. You had weird things like you could, like the disk drive would stop working, so people would flip them upside down and stuff. There was all sorts of weird.
And you
that
could
era.
like tape down like certain things or whatever to like stop something. Like, it was weird. I don't
You
remember.
could take the disc out and put your own CD in and
Yes.
stuff after it loaded and play your music.
Yeah.
Weird, like it was the Wild West of consoles.
It really was. It really was. Yeah.
But do you remember my original question? Do you remember when this was announced?
I do.
22 years
I do
ago?
remember it.
How old were you?
I was...
This is going to tell everyone how old you are.
I know. I was nearly 11, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Peak
Yes.
gaming age.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Heading into the teens.
I was at school.
Yeah.
And
Thankfully, at 11.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. I was in secondary school at this
Yeah.
point. And I remember being on my friend's paper round.
Nice.
I didn't have a paper round myself. I used to help my friends.
Okay,
So he had a paper round, and I just wanted an excuse for us to go and talk about gaming in the mornings at the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's a thing in other countries, but in the UK, paper round,
yeah, I think I know
young
it.
children walking around with sacks of paper and throwing it at old people.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yes, it's Paperboy or whatever
Yes,
that goes. Yeah,
like the game.
The game, yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to. So, the Xbox had just been announced, and obviously previously it was Nintendo and PlayStation and Dreamcast land, actually.
Dreamcast land it was.
So I was obviously heavy Nintendo because I was still into my handheld stuff at that point. My brother was PlayStation, and then Microsoft did something.
Yeah.
and dropped the X bomb. And I was like, oh my God, this looks amazing. There was so many cool looking games as well.
So much hype at the time as well.
Yeah.
Microsoft getting into the console
Yes,
space.
the hype was real.
Really
and the
was.
magazines, obviously, back then, we didn't have Twitter and stuff. So it was every magazine, every gaming magazine was like boom, 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 with all this green stuff. And I was like, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, this is so good. And there's a bunch of like big actors as well that were like roped into it as well, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, what is this thing? It was coming in by storm. I can't remember what game it was at the time. It was a launch title that looked so good. And I just remember me and my friend on the paper round, all we did was talk about Xbox and how we could try and get one. Because we're kids, you know?
Yeah.
And whilst he shared part of his paper round money with me because I'd help him, it wasn't anywhere near enough to buy an Xbox, you know? So it was like, well, I'm pretty sure I had a GameCube at that point. And it was like, man, how am I going to get an Xbox? I can't get rid of the GameCube because I loved it.
And what a time as well. And I think about like that era and the choices.
Yes.
PlayStation. So what are we talking about? Xbox was 22 years ago. So it was 2001.
Yes.
So PlayStation 2 had just launched.
Yep. Dreamcast had been out 2 years.
Yeah, Dreamcast was 2 years old.
GameCube, I don't even think was there yet. I think GameCube was 2002. So I might not have even had the GameCube.
There's just this kind of
confusing.
era when rather than replacing Sega, they were an addition to the landscape. So you had this additional choice coming in, which imagine that now.
Yes.
And just this new consoles appeared.
Yeah.
But with the backing of one of the biggest tech companies in the world.
Yeah, not only like, you know, one of the biggest software pushers out there.
Yeah.
And it was just like...
It'd be the equivalent of right now if Apple launched a games console.
Absolutely. Yes. That was essentially what it was like. And it was weird because back then we already had 3 main competitors.
Exactly.
Because Sega was still there.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, is there room for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know, Microsoft were like, yep, we're sweeping, cleaning up. You know?
Yeah, cleaning up.
And... yeah, sweeping up. But this one needs sweeping up because it's got dust all over it, AJ. What are you
It's
playing
really
at?
dusty.
It's
What am I playing
22
at?
years of dust.
Not the Xbox, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has just been sat on a shelf in my games room. I thought I'd just bring it in just for this.
Isn't it structural to the building we're in right now?
It's like a keystone to one of the bridges.
It weighs enough.
I would say partly due to their own demise, but also because of this, that Microsoft replaced Sega's place in the console landscape.
And that's probably why Sega ejected, because they went, okay.
Like one of the final nails for them.
We've got Sony with the PlayStation, which was the big guns then.
Yeah.
Now we've got Microsoft, which are even bigger guns, you know, and Nintendo, the powerhouses that
They're
they
not
are.
going anywhere.
And Sega are like, damn.
Yeah, they'd had the Saturn, hadn't they?
Yes.
And then the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast didn't do as well as it should have.
Even though it was amazing. You know.
In hindsight, you reflect on Dreamcast and it's still there's still some phenomenal games on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I if they released a Dreamcast Mini, like one of those retro things, I'd totally buy that. I love the Dreamcast.
Would it be Nintendo that would make that?
I hope so.
That would be cool,
Nintendo quality.
Yeah, I'd get on board with that.
I would totally do that. I want Nintendo to release the Sega Mega Drive, what am I on about? The Dreamcast alongside the Mega Drive and Genesis on the Nintendo Switch Online, and then have them release a Dreamcast wireless controller, so that you can play Dreamcast games on NSO.
Yeah,
that would be sick. But I want to ask you, what are your memories of when this was? Because you were a bit older than me, weren't you?
Thanks for that. Yeah, so 2001. I was leaving school.
Yeah.
Starting college.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a PlayStation 2 yet. I still had a PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
So still smashing that out. A couple of friends had a PS2, so I'd go around and play on theirs.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome. I was probably still reliving Final Fantasy 7 and 8 for like the 19th time because I was may shock you. I was obsessed with those games. Still, even then.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing changes.
And I was playing a lot of Thrasher, the skate game, which was amazing.
Nice.
Skate and Destroy.
Love it.
And Tony Hawk's.
Oh yeah.
Mainly because the influence of other substances at that age mean that those games are kind of like peak.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So the Xbox being announced, it was. I probably didn't. I remember I didn't pay attention to the hype. I remember people talking about Microsoft are releasing a console. And I was like, I'm not really that bothered. PlayStation is the best.
Yes.
PlayStation's the best.
Yes, yeah,
PlayStation's the best.
Yeah.
And then I remember going to my friend's house when I was in college, and he had the Xbox and Halo.
Oh.
So we had like a solid night of just playing multiplayer Halo.
Yes.
And I came away with just this absolute lust
Yes.
for this. Just for that one game.
Yeah, ultimate split screen.
And I would say my gaming tastes haven't grown up at all since then. I am just as fickle now as I was then. As in, right now, I'd moved away from Xbox, and we'll go through the journey.
Yeah.
And I was back to being a diehard PlayStation fan right up until Starfield was released.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do you know what? Xbox is amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
So back when I was 16 and this was released, it was the same feeling.
Yes.
Like, I don't care about Xbox. I play one game and I'm like,
I need
Xbox
one.
is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It was all Halo. It was all because of Halo. And yeah, like you say, peak multiplayer split screen.
Yeah. Yes.
You cannot replace the feeling of a multiplayer game when you're in the same room as the people you're playing with.
And the mid 2000s, early and mid, well, all of the 2000s was all about local co-op.
Yes.
It was the best era of gaming, in my opinion.
Really was. Partly because of our age. It's kind of that, you look at that period quite romantically, but nothing has replaced that feeling of being on the same couch as someone and either playing co-op or playing against them.
Yes.
And that kind of almost like party game feeling. The only thing that comes close to it now, the only people that come close to it now is Nintendo.
Yeah.
They have managed to bottle that feeling.
Yes.
And in so many of their games, they still have it.
Yeah.
Wanda's the most recent example.
Yeah.
Of having a couch co-op.
Yes.
Couch multiplayer.
Yeah, they always manage to do the co-ops, whereas everyone else now is online co-op.
I 100% believe that's why Mario Kart 8 is still R8 Deluxe. It's still probably the best-selling Nintendo game.
10 years later.
Exactly. Because of that split screen, I can play it. I can sit down and play it with my mum. I can play it with my girlfriend. I can play it with my best mate. We can all have a laugh.
Yeah, and families with kids and stuff.
It's that party game kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, whereas if you're like sat with little Billy that's a 5-year-old and you want to play co-op on the PlayStation, well, then you've got to buy another telly and another PlayStation because it's online only. It's annoying, but yeah.
So it really encapsulated that split screen multiplayer era for me.
Yeah.
Was this?
Yes.
And for the time, it looks really out of date now. It looks like something from a bad X-Men movie.
It does. Well, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
and I remember in the when this launched, it was so like, oh my god, it's so futuristic.
Exactly. I was just going to go to stylistically at the time when you consider the PS2 had just come out.
Yes, the fat one.
The fat one.
The
PS2 was so compared to this visually is so underwhelming. This was like
yeah.
They have arrived. It was a real statement, like you say.
It was, yeah.
All the gaming like magazines and stuff that you'd get, it was just this green. It was just plastered everywhere.
Yes, yeah.
They really entered with a bang.
Yeah.
And to be fair to Microsoft, they've definitely done it for the long haul.
Yeah.
They've kept that momentum going.
Yeah.
I would say, we'll go through the journey in a minute, but I'd say that they went through something of a lull, kind of mid 360 era into the Xbox One. I'd say it was probably their lowest ebb.
Yeah.
I feel like now they're definitely on the ascendancy again.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I suppose that's thanks to Game Pass,
100%.
But, and I just thinking about it, it's really funny because you had PlayStation and Nintendo. So you got red and blue. And then Microsoft came in and completed RGB. Red, green, and blue.
Do you think that's why they did it?
Yeah, maybe. No, it's
not. It's not because it's really like an aggressive color.
Yes, and it's
I like
very
to think
gamer.
I think they all got together and go, okay.
Yes, yeah. They just emailed Nintendo and PlayStation. What color should we do?
The diodes release.
But whenever I think of RGB, I always think of green LEDs as gamer. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's because of subconsciously I think of Xbox. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I don't green's my favorite color. Green and purple are like my favorite colors, right? But weirdly, if I think of gaming, like say you see those cheap PCs or like cheap gaming keyboards or anything like that, they've got like RGB. I always imagine like green as being like a
totally
gamer
agree with you. Yeah.
color. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, they just kind of like nailed it.
Yeah.
And that might be because of Xbox that I think that way. Not too sure.
I don't know. And the Xbox One, I don't know about sales units. I'm not particularly geeky about this stuff.
We didn't do research.
Well, yeah, that may shock you for this show. We don't tend to research anything. Whenever you hear us talk about statistics or numbers, it's normally because one of us has got a phone open just off shot.
Or we've made it up.
Or we just fabricated it.
The Xbox here sold 1,100,000 copies in the first week.
I was going to say, I don't really know about the sales units, but I do know that it was a success. It was successful enough essentially to stop Sega and for them and for Microsoft to carry on
in their
7-8 years later with the next iteration as well.
Yes,
and to carry on for the next 22 years.
Yes. Before we move on to any of the other systems, staying with this was the era of really messed up controllers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wasn't it though?
Yes.
Like, so you had Dreamcast. What was that about?
That was a horrible controller.
What is that controller?
Still horrible.
It's weird. I mean, it paved the way for Hall effect sensing joysticks.
Yeah.
So they were the first that did it and the last that did it for years.
That had the VMU memory card,
absolutely.
didn't it?
Yeah, it had the VMU that slotted in the top. So sometimes, depending on the game, it would show your health or your ammo, or you could have it like a Tamagotchi, so you could pull it out and take it with you.
There were some games, I'm pretty sure there was a Sonic game.
Yep.
That had a mini game inside of it that fed back to the main game, like gave you some kind of perk or something.
So you could take the VMU with you.
Yeah.
I've still got them,
which is actually
VMUs
quite... There's no really logical reason as to why that whole ecosystem didn't do as well as it should have.
Yeah.
The controller, it's weird, but like I say, Hall effect sensors, which now is anything everyone's talking about. It's what everyone wants.
Yeah.
It had some great titles.
It did. Yeah.
It had this really incredible memory card, like mini game thing, which is something you'd expect Nintendo to do.
And it could even boot PlayStation games.
You could.
Did you do that?
I didn't know
There's
that.
a couple of PlayStation games that if you just put the official disc in a Dreamcast, it would just load them up and play them.
That's so good.
So random. There's a couple of games. I watched a video about it. It's really weird.
I guess titles that were available on both, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's some weird thing about it. But
it's crazy.
But yeah, so you had the Dreamcast with their weird controller. I know the GameCube wasn't exactly, like it was very shortly after.
Yeah, it was the same era, yeah.
But same era, yeah. And that had a weird controller, even though that's probably my all-time favorite controllers. I love the GameCube controller. Yeah. But again, very strange, weird button layout, weird little nubbin right joystick, tiny D-pad, like very strange controller. The PlayStation one was the most like standard because PlayStation never changed their controller up until the PS5. It's always been the same thing that launched with the PS1 and then just slightly pimped out.
Yes and no. When the first PlayStation one came out, they didn't have the analog sticks.
No. It was just D-pad.
Then they released what was called the Dual Shock.
Yep, that's the one.
And it had the analog, what you call rumble now, vibration, whatever you decide to call it.
And then dual thumbsticks.
Yeah, and dual thumbsticks. And so then they kept... That was almost the identical controller for the PS2 was the Dual Shock controller.
It was the same. It was just black instead of grey. Yeah.
And it was almost like that became... almost like the standard.
Yeah, that was the staple controller. Yeah. And again, they've not really ever changed it, have they?
No.
But the Xbox One was almost the size of this.
It was huge.
I remember being like 11 years old and holding a dinner plate to play a game. Like I wondered when I saw it if I'd even be able to reach the buttons because it was massive.
Yeah.
I swear the centerpiece was the same size as what was in the console here. Like I'm not even joking. Like
that was
it is massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
But I remember it actually being quite comfortable because it was so like weirdly ergonomic.
Well, one thing that, and like through all the generations, even through the period where I really fell out of love with Xbox, one thing I always had to acknowledge was the controllers were always incredibly comfortable.
Yeah.
For ergonomics, they were always very good. My experience was always back in the days when you could go into game shops and play the games.
Yeah.
Oh, what a glorious time that was.
Kiosks.
The kiosks.
That was so
they'd
good.
be on like, they're like stuck into that like.
Yeah, you couldn't move them.
No.
They're like rock hard like there. So you'd
But
have to
like,
just like...
You'd hold it and be like, oh, it feels so good. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
But yeah, it was huge. The 360.
Oh, yes.
Can we address it?
Oh, my days.
As we're celebrating
What a
the full
love,
22
hate.
years.
I know, but what a roller coaster that console had.
Complete love-hate. And I think that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Love-hate
It's
relationship.
true, though, isn't it? Because I didn't even know what the cause was. But, you know, the issues that I suppose we can get onto. So...
Yeah. So for me, I'm trying to think of my journey now. This is weird because I had a PS2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to think of the release date of the 360. So I did get this Xbox, the PS2, and then I would have got the Xbox 360 whenever that was released, 2006 time.
I want to say
like
2006. It was Wii era now.
Yeah.
So Nintendo Wii, PS3, and then 360.
Yes, because I didn't get PS3 until quite late.
Yes.
And that was after. Should we just call them the Troubles?
You can enlighten us now, or we're going to get to it.
Being as I grew up, I say this in the Snowball Forum, so grew up really poor and never really had a very good job, mainly because I was a musician, which meant I earned fuck all. So, like buying consoles, even when I was a kid, we'd always wait until like midpoint in generation,
Yes.
prices slashed. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
now with the Series S.
Yep.
They do the same thing every time.
Yep.
Midpoint, price slashes. Series S now is like 180 quid or something.
Yeah, during the sales, it was crazy.
Unreal. That's such a bargain. But
Yeah, mental.
happened with the PS1. We waited until midpoint and it dropped. And me and my brother saved up together and bought one. I did the same thing with the Xbox 360. I waited until the prices slashed. And they did the same thing. They came down to like 180 a couple of years in. It's like,
Yeah.
now's the time. I've lusted after this because it looked absolutely, and I still look at it now and go, it looks beautiful.
Oh, it's a great console.
As a console looks,
Yeah.
there's very few that look that nice.
Yeah, it's really
And
sleek.
the PlayStation 5 is disgusting. The Xbox, let's be honest, is a fridge.
It is a fridge,
It's not a nice looking piece
No.
of kit.
I wish you could put cans in it.
I think the Series S is objectively nicer looking.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's tiny.
Yeah, it's very small.
It's like, must be
is.
half the size of
Yeah,
this.
it's half the size of that.
But the 360 was beautiful.
It was
looking.
so nice and curvy.
Curved
I
front,
loved the
like,
power button.
The power button.
Amazing.
I grew to hate the power button.
of course, everyone did.
But the power button was beautiful.
Yes, even the hard drive on the top that
I knew you were going to say it, yeah.
slipped in and out.
It was this whole like
and it was silver and
big
sleek.
plastic thing.
Yeah, silver and grey.
And it like, you slid it in.
Yeah.
But what a cool design. It's kind of like, it's actually integrated. I don't have to take it apart. I can extend the storage. I'm trying to think, it was like 100 gig or something, 120 gig. Was it extension? Probably not even that.
More like 1 gig.
I can't even remember. Maybe I'm being too polite to
120
it.
gig. It might have been. I really don't think so back then. That would have cost like $1,000 in like
Was it really?
2005. That it must have been like a 20 gig hard drive.
Yeah, it might have
must
been actually.
It must have been tiny, like in comparison to today.
Yeah.
Just a sidetrack, right? When the first 1 gigabyte drives came out, my dad said to me and my brother, "This drive is so large, you will never fill it in your entire lifetime." 1 gig.
Wow.
I'm going to put a 2 terabyte drive in my Steam Deck in a minute. 2,000 gig.
When now we're going to do the old man thing. When I started college, 2001,
Yeah.
around this kind of time, we were still using floppy disks on the computers
Yes.
for like
Yes.
transferring like
Yep.
data files.
Yeah.
1.2 megabytes.
Yep. That's the thing, because my dad had like a tray.
Yeah. With all the
of-
data files.
Yeah, we had like so many floppy disks. I think I've still got them somewhere. They're like so retro now. I've actually got Doom 2
On a floppy
on
disk.
floppy. And it ain't on one disc. There's like 20 of them. There's so many of them. The box is as big as this.
Amazing.
And they're all on floppy disks.
Flippy disks?
Flippy disks.
Flippity disks.
Flippy disks.
Anyway, however big the storage was, I think I've got
120 gig.
I've got a feeling standard the Xbox 360 was 20 gig.
Yes. Yeah, so it would have been 40 for the expansion.
Yeah. But anyway, it was this big plastic unit that you kind of just slid into the top or the side, depending if you had it up or down. And then you had this expanded storage. I still love that design.
It was great.
It's huge and unnecessarily big for now.
Yeah. I like the colour and everything. I really like the whole thing.
What a phenomenal way of doing it. And it was more than the PlayStation were ever offering.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
And again, I think it still looked better than the PS3. PS3 was like some
PS3
weird,
was
like
ugly.
Yeah, I mean, if you turned it on its side, it looked like some Australian building. Do you know what I mean? It looked like the, you know what I'm on about.
I do. Especially the original, the first model of PS3, the 60 gig model.
Yes.
That is PS1 and 2 backwards compatible.
Yeah, the legendary one.
Yeah, which everyone wants now.
Yep.
It's ugly as hell. Looks like it was made in the 1980s. I don't even know what they were thinking.
No.
Whereas the 360 did just objectively look beautiful.
It was sleek and it stood vertically. It looked really cool. And the controller again.
Controller was gorgeous.
So much better. They took the Fat Boy and slimmed it down, matched the aesthetics to the console. And I remember that being so comfortable. And it's funny because we were playing Steam Deck before, and remember Lost Planet that we were playing?
Yeah.
If you go into the menu, all the controller is the 360 controller, and you can
using an Xbox 360 controller.
It thinks you're using a 360 controller because it's a 360 game.
Yeah.
So nice.
It was great. At least it was potentially great. I can't think of any awesome exclusive titles, but it was also an era for me where I really wasn't worried.
Yeah.
Which makes me think we're probably a bit harsh on PlayStation now, because I don't think most people really care if it's exclusive.
Yeah.
They've bought that console now. They just want to play that game. Yeah. They want to play Call of Duty. They don't care.
What was some exclusives on the 360? Cameo. That was a launch title. It was a platformer, 3D platformer, where you're this weird fairy girl.
Was that
Fable
PC as well?
Fable was Xbox, this one.
Was it really?
I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure Fable 1 was on the fat Xbox, because that was one of the reasons I wanted to buy it. So
really?
Yeah. I'm 90% sure it was on the original. And I think the rest of the Fable games were multi-platform. No, it shouldn't be. It was like... I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was too long ago.
But again, like I say, in all honesty, at that period in time, I wasn't worried about exclusive titles.
No, I can't say I overly was.
I just wanted to play whatever was available that was cool.
I wanted to play what I wanted to play. Like you said, if something looks cool. Oblivion came out on 360.
Yeah, no, it was 360.
Yes. So when that was announced, that was like, I remember everyone wanting Oblivion, and I bought it on PC. And my
Master Race.
Yep, I couldn't run it. So I wasted I couldn't take it back either. They wouldn't return PC games.
Because you just ripped the code.
Yeah. So I bought it on PC and it bricked my dad's computer.
So good.
So I had to wait probably like 6 months until I could convince my parents to buy it for me.
Did you ever complete it?
No.
Of course not.
And I've bought that game multiple times.
Of course not.
Yeah. Yeah, so Oblivion was on there. Maybe Fable was on 360. I swear it was on Xbox original, though. I can't remember.
I only say it 360. I've just got a vision of the case, but it might have been re-released. They
did an anniversary.
Yeah.
They did they did the Lost Chapters. They added, it was like a DLC kind of thing onto it, which was, again, amazing. I love Fable. So, yeah, they did that. The one thing I remember about the 360 were the add-ons, which will lead you into what you want to say about
Tell me about the add-ons.
The add-ons. So my brother and I don't know how I managed to do it, because my brother was a die-hard PlayStation fan.
Yeah.
He had the PlayStation 1 when it launched. My brother's quite a bit older than me.
Yeah.
And he bought the original PlayStation back in the 90s, and I remember playing like MotoGP and all this awesome stuff on there. And then he had the PS2. And then for some reason... we both had Xbox 360s. I mean, he was living on his own by that point, away at least. And he had an Xbox 360 as I did. And then I suppose we swapped games and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But we both bought this freaking fan pack Like it was an attachment, half the size of the whole thing again, to stick on the back. And it had like a power, it plugged into the power supply bit, which you then plugged the power supply into.
Yes.
So it like bypassed it, but also powered it. And it had like 6 fans or something that were on the back.
So unnecessary.
And this thing fricking hummed. Like you turned on.
Louder than the PS5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The thing was hovering. Like it was like, it was like really
Was
loud.
it made by James Dyson?
Yeah, I think that's probably how Dyson got his career.
Oh.
It was
Trying to keep 360s cool.
But I remember we were both panicking and we were like, we need to buy this, keep it cool.
Yeah.
And I think it was coming into summer and we were freaking out. So we like bought these freaking stupid like packs that strapped on the back of it that, it was so loud. And we were there playing it with like full volume on the TV to try and drown out this freaking like fan pack. Yeah. And we were playing like Grand Theft Auto and all sorts of stuff. But we never had an issue, my brother and I.
You didn't have any issue with the 360?
No, however, you did.
Well, I know I brought it up once or twice. But yeah, 4. I forget now, 4 or 3. I'm sure it's 4.
Nice.
Yeah, 4 of them. Like I said, I waited until like the midpoint of the generation. They dropped in price. And I went to a HMV shop.
Amazing.
In Plymouth.
Wow.
Yeah, in the city, the big city, South Devon, y'all.
Yeah.
Went in and bought it, and I was so excited to get home. I finally got the 360. I think I was living with my first proper girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to be like grown up as well. So, I've got my own, I'm going to go play in the bedroom. And so there's like a return period from the shop, and I think it was like a 90-day return period.
Okay.
It might have been 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
But I know within 90 days, I've gone back to return. It was 3 of them. I'd gone back and returned all 3 of them.
In that short period of time?
Red ring of death every time. And now everyone says, were you like keeping it like under a blanket
you didn't
or
use
something?
the fan pack that we bought,
I didn't buy the fan pack. So
That's
maybe the
it.
fan pack worked.
That's what it was.
I remember, I wish I remember the exact number now. I'm pretty sure it was 2/3 of all Xbox 360s suffered the red ring of death. It became a whole pop-up industry.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
There's like you have in most high streets now, you have phone screen repair shops.
Yeah.
Dropped your phone, we'll fix it, we'll replace the
Yeah.
screen. Back then, it was literally red ring of death.
Yeah.
Repair,
all those phone
modding.
dudes that you see now,
Yeah.
they weren't phone people before.
No.
They were Xbox repair centers.
Literally, they would claim that they could fix the red ring of death, or they
And
could mod it.
When you got back, they had like things hanging out the front.
Weird. They would
Yeah.
put these bits. I don't know. I still don't know what it does. I'm sure it's a cooling thing. It turns a fan on. Yes, they could crack it open and do these kind of weird bits to it as well. But also, they would claim that they would firstly claim that they'd be able to fix it, which was a fallacy because the most common fault was overheating.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it was the processor would come separated from the motherboard, which is not something they can easily fix.
No, not really.
Because it's a soldered chip rather than like you have in a PC where you can drop it in and out.
Yes.
So you quite often pay them the 30 quid or whatever it was, and they go, "Oh, sorry, it's just unfixable," and you wasted your money.
Yeah.
Or they'd crack it open and say they could mod it, and they would just put a PC fan inside, which is not really going to do anything.
No.
It was a huge problem. Huge problem.
I remember it being everywhere.
Every red ring of death.
My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, he had, I think, 2 go on him, like back to back.
Yeah, it was literally weeks.
And I can't remember if he got another one or if he just went to PlayStation after that.
That's what I did.
But me and my brother, I swear we didn't have any issues with it. Not that I remember.
I mean, you were lucky. But, statistically, it's bound to happen.
It's crazy, though, isn't it? When you think about it. Like, that they didn't find this problem out and either recall or fix the problem before it launched,
Yeah, the amount of returns they must have had.
But I swear it didn't happen immediately. I swear it wasn't like it launched and then after 2 weeks it happened.
Like I say, I waited until the midpoint of the generation.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was a good year later or halfway through or whatever.
I'm not sure if on that midpoint onwards that they changed some of the components for the building.
Yeah, like PlayStation do. Make it cheaper, charge twice as much.
Exactly.
Yes.
Made it slimmer somehow. Oh, they've just taken out a heatsink. We don't need that on there.
Yeah, what's this doing?
Big lamp of metal.
Yeah. Why is there fans in here? Take them off.
Yeah, just noisy.
I can't hear my TV.
Yeah, so I can't be held to that being accurate or not. I don't know if that actually happened, if they did change the components inside.
No, but that would make sense.
But yeah, like I say, I waited until midpoint. 3 returns within the space of the shop's return period. And at that point, I was like, sod it. I'd saved a bit more money up. I was like, I'm just going to buy a PS3.
Yeah, because the gap back then was huge, wasn't it?
It was massive.
Like going from PlayStation to Xbox, there was a big gap.
Big gap. It was probably like £100 difference.
Easily £100.
Which is weird because at least at this point in the PlayStation Xbox generation, it's the other way around. The PlayStation have dropped their prices lower
slightly
than
less.
Xbox.
Yeah. But the Xbox does more stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Backwards compatibility.
It's objectively a better computer.
Yes. Yeah.
But PlayStation have the marketing kind of clout.
Yeah, but it is weird. Yeah.
But yeah, that was the point in which I fell out of love again with the Xbox and the whole Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I literally went back to PlayStation, and from that point right up until Starfield,
a few months ago, yeah,
I would just. You would go back to old episodes of this podcast, and I'm just taking the mick out of
Xbox. So was I. Yeah, so was I. We both did.
And it's all rooted from that point of having 3 failed 360s.
Yes.
I ignored the one entirely.
Yeah.
Just ignored it.
Yes. Yeah, see, I go a bit further than you then, because I had my 360 and didn't have any issues. I remember playing through, because that had online at that time. So my friend that I was at college with that lived like miles away, but we'd meet up at college and stuff. We played through like co-op stuff, like Resident Evils mainly, like Resident Evil 5, I think it was. We played through a lot online. And that was great fun, and I was sat with my TV at the end of my bed with my 360 on it, and we would just play through. And then I had a period of time that I too stepped away, but I stepped away from most gaming because I went to uni.
Yeah.
So after that, went to uni, studied music and all that as well, and didn't really have time to game. So I didn't have anything really there. I had a PC that was capable of gaming. So I did light gaming at the time. And then I moved in with some different housemates and stuff and was like, we need something to game on, And it was like, well, I don't know what to get. So we ended up getting the PS3 because it was just before the Xbox One was announced, right? Yeah. So the Xbox One wasn't here yet. And I said, well, the Xbox 360 is old. Yeah. So we ended up getting a PS3 right before the PS4 as well. So like we were right at the end of it. So I got that, played a bit of that. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Came back home, like the uni's finished now. A bit of time's gone by. I get with my wife now. And she was a die-hard Xbox fan. Like, at this point, I'm fully PC. I've actually always been mainly a PC gamer, but I've like dabbled in like consoles and stuff. But I'm like, I'm fully back on PC. Didn't have any consoles other than whatever the latest Nintendo was at the time, and I was like, right, PC only. She's like, no, Xbox only. She's fully into Call of Duty, but she's playing on the most beaten up Xbox 360 you can ever imagine.
Oh, man.
Because she too lived on her own for years, didn't have much money, blah, blah, blah. And she just played Call of Duty and Guitar Hero on the 360 that was literally like blue tacked together. Do you know what I mean? It was
How did that not die?
I know. I have no idea. It even shocked me. This thing was ridiculous. And I was like, oh man, I need to change that. And we'd just started living together. And then the Xbox One had dropped. And I was like, right, I'm going to buy her that for Christmas, and didn't tell her. And so I bought her the one with, I think, was it the Elite controller out then? Maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, with this controller, I'm pretty sure it was, and gave it to her for Christmas, which blew her mind. She couldn't believe it because I didn't tell her at all. I was like, here's your present. And she got me something, I don't know. Like
slippers.
Something like a t-shirt or something. Yeah. I'm like, here's the brand new Xbox. And she was like mind blown. And I was like, well, we've got to play it then, So we played on it for a bit, but I was still convincing her to go PC.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was playing like MMOs and stuff that wasn't even capable on the Xbox. So I managed to convert her to come to the dark side of PC. And very quickly, the Xbox One turned into a Netflix machine. So like literally we just used it for video players. It was just like the DVD player. It was like, all right, sweet.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the success of PlayStation is not primarily, but in a large part down to the fact that it was a DVD and then a Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
As well as being its games console.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people were buying them because it was a Blu-ray player
Absolutely.
or DVD
Well, you get
player back in the day.
Two for the price of one.
Yeah. So, okay, a Blu-ray player for the same price. It's actually a PlayStation as well. That's pretty cool.
Why not? Yeah.
It's funny that it was actually that multimedia part that was the selling feature, and that your Xbox became exactly that.
It did, yeah, it literally did. It was just the machine to watch content on. It'd be like,
and do you know what's really sad?
Yeah.
My PlayStation 5
yeah,
is now just a multimedia machine.
yeah.
The last time I turned it on was to watch Amazon Video on it.
Amazing.
That's sad, man.
Yeah, you know what's even more sad than that is that's not even what my PS5 does.
Don't even turn it on.
No, because our TV does streaming better than the PS5 does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because our TV takes, Dolby Atmos and, all this HDR and 4K and all that stuff, whereas the PS5 is actually limited in terms of some of the features our TV supports.
Yeah.
So we just stream directly through the TV.
I fully believe there'll be a reckoning, a rebirth for PlayStation next year. I think next year's going to be really big for PlayStation. I kind of fully believe there's some...
Maybe.
Well, I know there's one big title.
They just released the PlayStation Portal.
We're not even going to address that because...
That's enough said right there. That's
that and that $8 billion lawsuit might be enough to put them under.
Yeah, maybe.
Unnecessary remasters.
Yes.
Anyway, next year, I think PlayStation will have a better year than this year because I don't think this year's been particularly great.
No.
It's been poor enough for me to forgive Xbox of the 3 Xbox 360s that I had to send back.
Yeah.
And go back into the Xbox ecosystem.
I'm so glad that you did.
And realise all the things that I've missed.
But that was the thing for me too. Like I was going to say
mind-blowing.
With the PC thing, because I've been so heavy PC gamer, like after the 360, that was my last experience with Xbox because I was like, actually now these Xbox games are on PC.
Yes.
And again, from 2006, I think I've had my Steam account. That was basically when I stopped caring about the console stuff because I was like, well, I could just play it all better on my PC, And look at me now. I've got my Steam Deck and I've still got all those games. But anyway, that's why I went, buy consoles other than Nintendo. I was like, no. And then transitioned Christina over to being a PC gamer and then just ignored everything until the PS5 came out, and was like, yep, cool. I'll get one of those, looks great. Xbox came out and went, I don't have any need.
Yeah,
I've got a PC.
It felt like it was unnecessary.
It was. Yeah, for me, personally, it was like, I've got PC, it can do it better. The only reason I bought a PS5 was because you could only play PlayStation exclusives on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I've got Xbox games on the PC, I've got my PS5, and I've got my Switch. I'm done. I don't need to know about Xbox because I have a PC. And that was my mentality for so long until now. I don't play on the PC at all if you discount the Steam Deck. Literally haven't even booted up our gaming PCs in probably 2 years now. And we bought the Xbox right before Starfield. And we were looking into it ourselves, weren't we? Beforehand. When I think we've missed out on something here, man. And I got the Xbox Series X and went, oh my God.
Does it go down to the core problem? I know since we've started covering more Xbox stuff that I've seen a lot more of the vitriol against them. The kind of fanfare, that pro PlayStation fanfare.
Yes.
That I guess I was a part of. Does it go down to the crux of the problem that Sony and their branding of the PlayStation and the marketing of the product is a lot better than what the job is a lot better than what Microsoft done.
Yeah.
Because if we're really into gaming and we make content about gaming, we play games pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And we were unaware of all the key advantages of the Xbox X. Then surely most people out there are also unaware of the advantages.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that just goes to say that Sony do a much better job at branding and marketing their product than Xbox have done, at least at this generation.
Yeah. I think they've also got the name besides them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, because PlayStation had that 8-year head start, or whatever it was, and it's called the PlayStation. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, everyone knows PlayStation.
Yeah.
Whereas Xbox, like, even though everyone knows it now, it's probably still not quite.
I also think there was a bit of a. I'm kind of trying to remember how I felt about like the different consoles back
in the day.
in the day. I also think around the 360 era in particular that there was this attitude that PlayStation was more highbrow somehow.
Yeah.
Because it was more expensive.
Because it was more expensive.
And significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
And Xbox was if you couldn't afford a PlayStation.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
I think they might have generationally done a big disservice to themselves by undervaluing it.
Maybe. I think maybe they were trying to make PlayStation appeal to slightly older gamers.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was the youngest.
Yes.
And Xbox was somewhere in between. And I was exactly who Xbox was marketing towards because it worked. You know, like when the Xbox released and the Xbox 360, that period of time was bang on me. I didn't really care about the PlayStation at that point. You know, I'd experimented with my brother's PlayStation 2 and stuff, and I was like, oh sweet, you know, I like some of those games, but how Xbox marketed back then like really drew me in because it was like fun, green. Do you know what I mean? Like it was all like, whoa, look at this. It literally looked like something from outer space.
Yeah.
Whereas the PlayStation thing was trying to be a bit more clean, a bit more like stylish, like in terms of like contemporary, you know, like I feel like it was trying to appeal to like the mid to late 20-year-olds. You know, whereas Xbox seemed to be like 10 to 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was like...
It definitely felt like PlayStation was expensive and grown up.
Yeah, and I had that feel.
Microsoft was cheap and for kids.
Yeah. I don't know about for kids, but definitely for the age group that I was at the time.
I would have called you a kid.
Yeah.
Back then.
I was, yeah. But, you know...
Not now.
But like now, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it really is different. And again, I'm... sad
that it is different, but that my point, really overarching point, is the effects of doing that in the past.
Oh right, yes,
are like overshadowing it now.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people ignore the Xbox, is because historically it was the cheap option.
Yeah. I think also as well because they still have some issues with like exclusive games and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So like Microsoft really needs to pull the finger out and do some more games. But obviously they've been working their way ready for that.
They've got a huge, the master plan for the next, well, from next year onwards is basically from Starfield onwards. I feel like that was the birthing point for the next generation of Xbox.
Yeah, well, they've done everything. They've got Game Pass like nailed. The streaming service of that and just the foundations of it, the fact that you can download them or stream them like from anywhere on any system. You don't even need an Xbox, you know? But they've laid down that like groundwork.
And then buying out every publisher in existence.
Yes. And then buying everybody. And
Bethesda, Blizzard, Activision.
They're just gonna dominate next year. I really do think.
If they got something like Naughty Dog or Take-Two or something as well.
And let PlayStation have Nacon and Microids.
Microids! Right, this is just for you, Microids. Flashback 2 is the most single disappointing thing I have ever experienced. I waited 30 years, for the proper successor to the original Flashback game, which is one of my favourite games of all time. And what you've done with Flashback 2 is shatter a child's dream.
With 3 FPS.
3 FPS, not just clipping problems, like constantly falling through the map into oblivion, game baking bugs where if you do a mission in the wrong order, you can't progress anymore.
Solid title. Oh my days.
Yes.
So that was AJ's favourite Xbox memory of this week.
I gave up. If you're watching the stream, I just gave up in the end. There's moments where the character was stuck in a loop of doing actions. I just held the controller up. Yeah, no, he was like going up and down like that.
Right.
And I was like just holding the controller up. It's like, I'm not actually touching anything. He's just doing this. Jesus.
I like that. It sounds good.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Anyway, sorry, that was a real aside. I've been bottling that one up for a
Yeah,
while.
I've been waiting for that one.
I was going to do a whole podcast of just me shouting at you.
I think that should be it. Yeah.
Just
dear,
how
dear
broken it
microids is what it's called. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I think Xbox have really laid the foundation, whereas I feel like PlayStation have lost it. PlayStation have done a Britney Spears, and they've just shaved their head and they're juggling knives. You know,
Whereas
like
Xbox had a glow up.
yes, they have. I do believe that. Like, what the hell are PlayStation doing right now? They're releasing remakes of the same game where all they've done is turn a light off behind them, so it changes like the contrast. Right?
No, let's call it what it is. Remaster.
Yeah.
Remastered. Now, remastered originally is something that, let's say the Beatles recorded a song in the 1960s.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in the 2020, they go, we've remastered it with modern technology. You go,
yeah, great.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I think technology's come on a long time in 60 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Remastered.
Yeah.
And now, like some games, you go from like PS3 era, you go, remastered. You go, cool. Okay, this one might be really good.
Yeah. It'll work on modern hardware. Yeah.
Higher frame rates. They may have improved some of the graphics.
Yeah.
Performance will be better. When the game was released 3 years ago, on what is pretty much the same hardware.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Remastering it can only be seen as a cash grab.
It is a cash grab. Totally.
It's just a cash grab. If you pay £10 and you've already bought the original game, it's it's just £10 to upgrade. If not, it'd be 70.
What? To turn the light off in the background.
It is literally they've just put like a colour filter on.
They've just
like, or there's 3 levels that were deleted from the original game that you can play, which probably have no purpose to the story whatsoever.
No.
Because they were deleted.
Yeah.
And you can play the guitar freely now.
Great,
or you could spend your time in real life learning to play the guitar. So the choice is yours.
Absolutely, yeah. So they've just remade old games of last week for no reason.
Yeah.
They've released the PlayStation Portal, which is a paperweight. They've released some lossless headphones that you need to be able to listen on the PlayStation Portal, which cost the same as the PlayStation Portal. Yes, so they're £200 each.
Yeah, that's good.
So what are they doing?
Same price as the Portal.
What are they doing? It's like I feel like PlayStation has fallen off the wagon. They're having like a crisis.
It's like a nervous breakdown of hardware releases.
Have this. Wait, no. Have this one. It won't work with the other one, but have it. Like, you need this.
Yeah.
£200, £200. Bye.
I don't want any.
No
one else
I don't want that. Xbox, on the other hand, Microsoft are like, we don't care what you play on it. Just pay £10 a month for a Game Pass and just play anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Cheers.
Here's 500 games. PlayStation is like, give me 70 quid for a game I made last week, but I've remastered it.
Yeah, I want the money again. I just want to play
I want the money again. They just send you a letter for a game you bought like a year ago. Can we have some more money for that game you bought?
No, I've only just unwrapped it. Yeah,
that counts as a second purchase.
Yeah, they've really lost their way.
I feel like they've lost it, and I feel like Xbox are really laying. Like, I know Xbox sales are low, they are
compared to,
yes, absolutely. But it's freaking good. You know what I mean? Like, I am in love with the Series X. I'm completely love it. Like, I really do. I feel sad that I've ignored it for so long. And I've kind of reverted back to being just a full console gamer now. I use the Xbox Series S. My PS5 gathers dust. I use my Switch OLED, and I use the Steam Deck for my PC gaming, and that's basically it. I could totally get by with having just the Series X and my Steam Deck and just cloud gaming across the two. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, that's great. And I really hope, I know I say this all the time, but I really hope, because Microsoft and Nintendo have clearly got some sort of partnership thing going on.
There's clearly some love in there,
they
isn't there?
need to release Game Pass on Switch 2. On Switch 2, because it's going to be capable.
Streaming games.
No, the native download.
No.
Yes. If you can...
Don't be crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it's streaming only, great. But I actually genuinely think, right, that the Switch 2 will have the hardware to run games natively.
Wow.
If the Asus ROG Ally with a Z1 Extreme processor can run Game Pass games downloaded natively, right, I truly think the next chip in the Switch 2 is going to be as powerful as a PS4 or an Xbox One. Why not? And if they're only running it still at 720p handheld, totally able to play it.
What I'd like to think is that there's someone who's like watching this, who thinks that you're like a really informed leaker, who thinks that this is legit.
We'll be in the sun.
You're like, no way. Yeah,
They
Xbox
just
Game
said
Pass
that.
on Nintendo, confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed by 2 PlayStation haters.
Yeah. On the Switch 2, it's not even going to be called the Switch 2.
No, it's going to be called the new Switch.
Do you think so?
Yeah, the star.
What
New
if?
Star
I know we're
Switch.
bouncing around all over the place.
Yes, we are.
I'll wrap this up in a second, but just this 1 minute food for thought. What if they just ditch the Switch thing altogether, like the naming convention?
The Swatch.
The Swoled.
The Swole.
If they just lean into it, Swoled.
That's it. No, I don't know, but we'll see.
So 22 years of Xbox. It's been quite the roller coaster for us,
Yes.
at least in our experience of it. I'd love to know what your experiences of Xbox have
Before
been.
we round it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want next from Xbox?
Oh, don't put me in that situation.
Yes! I want to know. Come on, just one thing.
What do I want next
Yes.
from Xbox? Ooh.
Connect to.
Connect to. Was that the camera thing?
Yeah.
Definitely not. I've never bought one.
No, Christina had one. She used to think that ghosts were in a house because she would have the Xbox on, run out to grab a drink, and then stuff would be like moving on the screen and stuff because of the camera was on.
It's just a dodgy sensor.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. She was like, "Oh, ghosts are playing on my on my Xbox."
I honestly don't know because I'll be honest, I've not really spent enough time pushing the Xbox to its maximum. I wish the Series S had a bit more about it, a bit more oomph. But there's obviously a reason why it's the cheaper, smaller model.
I think it's great. I think
Considering
it's a really
it can run
good offering.
AAA games on it, that really
Yeah.
does surprise me.
I think it's a brilliant offering. You know?
Yeah, and yeah, especially the Black Friday version.
Yeah, it's insane. Mental.
And what do I want to see next from them? Honestly, I just want to see. It's not hardware based.
Yeah.
I just want to see more from this Bethesda, Blizzard, Activision.
Yeah.
I want to see more old IPs being reborn.
Yes.
I want to see new Tony Hawk's games.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I want the lot.
Yes, I think we're going to get them. I really want more Tony Hawk.
It'd be awesome to see World of Warcraft happening.
That would be sick.
Not a particularly WoW fan myself.
I've been trying to convince AJ to play World of Warcraft.
I would get lost in it. That's the
You
problem.
would, yeah. I'd come down for the podcast and he'll just be gone. He'll be, like episode
I'll
of
be
South
Cartman.
Park. Yes, he'll just be poop socking it. And
Or the bit where Cartman gets his mum to bring the bedpan down.
Yeah.
She just shits all over her.
that's exactly what it'd be like.
That'd be you with the
but-
bedpan.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see World of Warcraft come over to Xbox. That would be ridiculous. I'm really excited to see what all these buyouts are going to do. So
Yeah.
Game Pass is just going to go crazy next.
Yes.
I really think in 12 months or less than 12 months, we're going to get some massive hitters on Game Pass, which I can't wait for. I would love for them to make a handheld. I know they won't. I know they won't.
It would be amazing.
But it would be so
amazing.
good. And especially because they are Microsoft. They
Yeah.
make Windows.
Yeah.
And my inherent issue with all these PC handhelds are Windows.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love the Steam Deck, because it is a console experience.
Yeah.
Right. I would love for them, Xbox, to come out themselves. This is the Xbox handheld with a custom version of Windows, which just is a freaking Xbox.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But also, if you really wanted to, you could back out to the desktop, just like Steam Deck, right? If you're that
They've
nerdy
got,
enough.
well, the more I think about it, they've got everything made for
That's what I
it.
mean. They're the biggest software developers in the world, and they make Xbox. So just make one.
Cloud streaming,
Cloud streaming,
Game Pass.
Game Pass, Microsoft, Windows, Xbox. Just slip it together. Come on, guys. Come on.
I'm with you now. You've changed my mind.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how
Forget the
sick
new
would that-
games. I want the handheld.
I don't want to play games. I want
I
to
just
hold
want loads
them.
of hardware
I want to
that's going
hold
to
the
collect
games.
dust.
Yes.
I like this, Steve.
Yes. But no, that would be sweet. But anyway, there we go. Let's wrap it up.
That's great. Yeah. So, let us know what your kind of journey with Xbox has been over the past 22 years.
22 years.
Were you even born when it first came out?
Wow.
That's depressing. But yeah, has it been as up and down as us, or have you always been an Xbox? Or maybe you've just always been an Xbox hater. That's cool
Yeah.
too. Totally get it. If you're listening to this and you got to the deep end, in the podcasty places, there's all those buttons. They mean rate the show 5
it.
stars. And YouTube, smash the ones below.
Oh, yeah.
And then watch another video of us talking nonsense right between us.
Do it.
And maybe, I don't know, how can I stitch Andy up? His review, his first impressions of the Steam Deck OLED.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good for you,
do
that one.
Yeah, do that.
So until the next time, I'll see you next time.
Bye.